Mark Denton.
How exciting is this? I mean, I genuinely wonder whether it's going to be a battle between him and Tony Davidson for the longest, most words spoken.
The longest man in outdoor.
He's a talker.
Right.
And he's also very, very dapper. He got many, many looks. So my money is on a 3-piece suit with a cap, some sort of eye wear, and it's never trainers. It's going to be some proper pair of shoes.
Well, I'll go the opposite then.
Okay.
I'm going to go
pyjamas?
Tracksuit.
Ooh, tracksuit. But if it was a tracksuit, it'll be very stylish.
Trainers.
Okay. Well, let's see.
And sunglasses.
No, going to be very exciting. I think Mark's done, cumulatively probably done more posters than anyone we know. So it's going to be a battle of reducing rather than finding stuff. I think the Nike stuff at Simons Palmer was incredible, just to go through that body of work. Wrangler. And then there's just many, many other things. Those are the two big ones for me I want to talk about.
What's this book all about?
Puerility. I don't know, but it has a feeling like it's quite out there. It's quite Mark. And I think it's going quite well for him. So I imagine he's going to plug it.
All of the stuff that I've seen from him, it feels like there's a joke that he lets us in on all his work. So I'm quite looking forward to hearing about how he got to all those.
Yeah, he's not a serious soul. This will not be a serious podcast. Well, it has a serious nature to it, but the tone will be quite light.
Cool.
Off we go.
Every time I put my tea down, does it make a big clunky noise?
I was thinking that.
Yeah. I'm going to put it on the floor then.
Well, you just put it on a bit of paper.
No, I'll tell you what I'll put. It's an accident waiting to happen. I'm going to put it on my lap.
Yeah, this is going to be good. Yeah. Hello, Mark, and welcome to Behind the Billboard.
Is this where I say thank you?
Thanks for having me.
You can say thanks for having me, and then I'm going to say something that really bigs you up.
Oh, go on then. I'll keep quiet until you do that bit.
So I was going to introduce you, Mark, with a stream of accolades, such as multi-award-winning art director, executive creative director, film director, founding partner of Simons Palmer, Denton, Clemmer and Johnson, entrepreneur, and now publishing magnate with your very own book taking America by storm. But secretly, I was hoping all of that would be outdone by what you would be wearing today. And as you walked through the door just now, you haven't let me down. And I'm going to try and describe it. It's a beautiful it's a 2-piece tracksuit. What would you call it? Purple?
I'd say burgundy.
I knew you'd have a bit, burgundy, emblazoned with a very strong brand, Denton. And then also was there a hat or not?
Yeah, I've got a peaky blinders hat with a bobble on top.
Okay,
yeah.
And then there's sunglasses, which aren't a pose. They're genuinely needed for bright light. So you haven't let me down. So this is perfect for an audio broadcast.
Well, I'll just put it on this spot because I've got about 35 tracksuits, I think. It's bloody easy.
Yeah.
I used to have lots of tailor-made suits.
Yes.
You hit 60, elasticated waists are much more attractive for some unknown reason.
The thing is, my tracksuits have all got funny little splashes and stains on them, which we won't go into. But yours just looks pristine and wonderful.
Oh,
so
thanks. It's just
very nice.
Straight out there.
So thanks for coming in and welcome. We know you're a very busy man, taking over America with the book. Is it in the hands of the Donald? Is it in the White House? Is it?
Well, do you know, I should send him one, shouldn't I?
You should.
Yeah, because I do send... I do loads of interesting, creative crap, some people say, just for the fun of it, including loads of posters, despite the fact I'm a TV commercials director. Send the scripts to Thomas, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
Straight up plug.
Also, the book is called Unleash the Power of Puerility, Mark Denton Esquire. Available at what? All good bookshops?
Well, no bookshops at all.
Sorry, correction.
You can get it on Amazon and you can get it, but if you order it through koi-com.com/shop,
snappy,
then I can put loads of daft, creative ephemera in there as
extras.
Well. Yeah. So you get loads of free gifts if you get it from my website.
It's like a sort of Oscar's doggy bag.
Only better.
And very kindly, Mark's brought one in for us today, so we've got some copies here in the.
Well, my missus has told me I've got to get rid of the lockup. We can't afford it, so I'm trying to get them out there.
It's a thing of beauty.
We'll put a link on our on the posting for people to buy a copy of the book.
Hooray!
All right.
So
that'll help the missus out anyway.
Yeah, maybe more tracksuits. We'd love to talk about many things because you've got honestly there are so many lovely parts to you. But today is going to be billboards, which is a big part of what you've done. I suppose Dan and I always start by saying, have you seen anything decent lately? Stuff you like? Anything on your radar?
I have. Do you know, I didn't go on the tube for about 25 years when I was a posh person in advertising. And then I got my old person's rail and bus pass when I hit 60. That was about 3 and a bit years ago. Mm-hmm. And I rediscovered the tubes. And so I'm seeing posters again, because obviously if you knock around the West End, you don't see a lot of posters. No. So there's a lot of cross-track posters. What I was amazed at is that if I got down on the platform early and I had to wait for a train, I walked from one end of the platform to the other. Never saw a good poster, probably for a couple of years running. Mm. But just recently, and by recently I mean probably over the last 18 months, something like that, it feels like it's a bit of a revival.
Okay.
A lot of it, Niels Leonard seems to be doing.
Yeah.
Uncommon. They're doing some good posters.
Amazing.
Habito, I think it's called. Really great graphic illustrations.
Yeah.
I really like the Cold Drops Yard campaign that was out at Droga 5. Really like that a lot.
Yeah.
And I loved the Royal Opera House stuff that came out of Atomic.
Yes, beautiful.
It's funny, even though they had some good lines on them. The other two, they're kind of exercises in graphic design, really.
Yeah. It's very I've got to say, that's very, they have that richness to them.
Well, certainly the Habito ones, if that's how you say it.
Habito?
Yeah, colourful.
Yeah.
Colourful. Great illustrations, bold, nice design, simple idea.
Yeah.
But they are more exercising in graphic design rather than the great line-led posters that we remember from last century. But so it feels quite encouraging that it's been kind of rediscovered as a medium. Actually, as I'm seeing more and more good ones.
Do you think it went through a period of it hit the trough? Did it over?
Well, I don't know if you see that campaign do this roundup every year.
Yeah.
Of best posters, best press ads, best whatever, best telly ads. And if you look through probably about the last 5 or 6 years worth, maybe longer than that, might be a decade. You'd be hard pressed to find one good one. Even their favourite ones generally wouldn't have got into the old campaign poster awards back in the 80s, 90s and noughties. And that was my favourite awards, actually, the campaign poster awards. I thought they were bloody great.
Yeah.
I still had all the
booklets,
the catalogues or whatever they give at the end. Up until recently, but I gave all my ones, and I think my earliest one was 1979. Ooh. And I gave them all to Dave Dye. Just because I know that, I'm running out of space. Yeah. If I ever, I think, Dave's got it, I'll go and borrow it off of him. So I use him as, don't let him know this.
Has he got a bigger house than you?
No, he hasn't.
He's got a library now.
And if he's going to sneak anything into his gaff, he has to get past his missus.
Yeah.
And pretend it's groceries or something like that.
Very funny.
But
I love those booklets because you do have the big winners and stuff. But this is a bit sad what I'm going to say. But you're also down in the shortlisted ones, the commendations. Those don't probably get in D&AD and Cannes. So if you just look at D&AD and Cannes for your reference, you miss a lot of stuff. And then you look at stuff and you go, oh God, I remember that was beautiful. Because
you're right. D&ADs of those years, 80s, 90s, 90s. They were really bloody tough juries then.
Yeah.
Really hard to get a good poster through, and some real cracking posters never ever got into D&AD.
Do you think that's because the jurors were all peers and working on good posters as well? So trying to get a good poster through that jury was a difficult thing.
Obviously it's not just posters. It was every discipline. D&AD was seen as the pinnacle, and it was hard to get in the book was as good as winning any other award. It's a big deal to get in the book.
Great.
Now they give, also give out tons of pencils.
I think the thing now is also there was so much good work because it was just a different time. Whereas now, because we always talk about what's good you've seen lately, and you kind of, it's not like there's a huge abundance of work. Like if you look back some years and you're thinking, I know we're going to come to Nike soon, but some of the work you're doing, there was just so much of it and so much good stuff. Like it was. So I suppose in D&AD they might have been it was just so much good stuff. You would, only the very best stuff would get in.
And those examples that you just mentioned, they're coming from smaller agencies. They're coming from are they coming from people who have kind of grown up with poster life and come back to it, or?
Well, actually thinking about, when we were doing well at posters, we were a bloody small agency. You know, we did all right at D&AD as well, but I don't know. You used to get. I think that's why they called it the Chip Shop Awards. There was some agency up north somewhere that was knocking out these posters for the local chip shop, and you would see them in campaign poster awards.
Yeah. So there is that.
I do quite like the idea of Mark Denton and Dave Dye meeting up on a dark night with a Sainsbury's bag full of these old booklets.
What you got?
Just so Dave can get them into his house past the missus. It's quite funny.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, we better edit that just in case Kirsty is.
Do you think she's listening?
Yeah, well, hopefully not.
So, I think I know the answer to this question, but is it your favourite medium?
Yeah, it is. But given that I'm a fully paid up member of the Ephemera Society, so I collect bus tickets.
Right.
From the olden days. So I like anything that's got ink on paper or moving about on a TV screen. Yeah. So, when you're doing a poster, you think, I love doing posters. And then you're doing an advert on the telly, you're doing a commercial, and you think, I like doing commercials. So I get excited about the thing that's in front of me, really. Yeah. But as a director, I could have given up doing any printed stuff because there wasn't a lot of requirement for it. I couldn't stop myself, so...
But that's what I like about you. You're quite unusual. You still have your fingers in many pies, and it's interesting. Like that we were just saying about Egerty saying, do interesting things, and interesting things happen to you. You seem to be very happy to do film, do your own self promotion, do design for other people. Your book. It's fascinating watching you because you're kind of always doing something in somewhere. And print is a massive part of that for you, isn't it? Yeah,
it still is. I did a book, and there's no, you can't get your digital copy of it anywhere. It's just ink on paper. I was drawn to do it. I can't explain why I do anything really, apart from I think, that'd be good. Actually, I could tell you about the book very quickly, insofar as I'm on the talk circuit. Doing a load of talks. Now, I only started doing talks in the first place because when the first recession hit about 12 years ago, whatever it was, I'm a popular director. I'm getting scripts all the time. The recession hits. I just set up a brand new production company called Koi. Then it's like someone had unplugged the fax machine. There was no scripts. And our rep couldn't get through the door. As soon as the recession hit, it was all over.
Right.
From me shooting back to back to nothing. And I thought, blimey, if our rep can't get in the front door, then if I go and do a talk in an agency, then I'll have a captive audience for an hour. Right. They can't escape. And before you know it, there's direct correlation between me doing a talk and getting a script. So that was bloody good. That worked well.
And did it work?
It worked really well. And, the best way it worked, on one particular occasion, I'm at an agency, and I'm halfway through the talk, and the ECD in the front row, he disappears. I think, bloody hell, I'm having an off day here. The boss has gone.
What have you said?
He's got something better to do. Anyway, he comes back later. He's got a bit of paper in his hand. I don't know. As soon as I've finished, he said, it's a script.
No.
So before the talk was over,
brilliant,
he put a script in my hand. So that was good. That was good. And then, so the book came out of doing a talk, getting onto a bigger talk circuit.
Yeah.
By mistake. It was never planned to do that. It was only planned to get me scripts. And I found out the people on the circuit who had a book out could command a bigger fee. So I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna get a book out.
So
I was booked for Promax in Italy. They phoned me up via LinkedIn because I like social media.
Yeah.
Via LinkedIn, the boss of Promax phones me up. And he says, look, will you come do a talk over here? I said, well, what's it all about, Promax? I've seen the trophies knocking about. I don't know much about it. Well, what it is it's all of the, it's the marketing people from broadcast companies, whether it's, the likes of BBC, ITV, Channel 4, all over the world. And I said, well, how does it work then? He said, well, we fly you and your missus over to Italy. Yeah. You're in a posh hotel in Rome. Right. We give you £1,000.
Where do I sign?
I said, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, I'll show off about it. And someone said, hey, do you know how much Dave Trott gets through a talk? And I thought, well, what's Dave got, apart from a little bit more experience than me?
Yeah.
obviously he had a load of books. So I thought, right, okay, I'll get a book done in time to go to Rome.
Right.
I'll write it over the weekend. So not having written a book before, I thought I'll give myself the weekend to write it.
Yeah, 48 hours.
Yeah, I'll stay up late on Sunday. Anyway, apparently once I got started, it's a bit harder than that.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, so here we are, a year later.
Can I just go back very briefly to...
You want to talk about posters, didn't you?
Yeah. I'm going to get back to posters. Bloody hell. Because I think I was at several agencies where you did the talks. Did you do the poster of your talk, or did you invite the agency to make the poster of the talk?
Well, but both. Because I started them off. I did probably about half a dozen posters. And I called and I thought, right, okay, again, thinking about the talk circuit, I thought, if I do a different poster every time,
Yes.
it looks like I've got loads of different talks. So someone out in Thailand or in North America or wherever can say, bloody hell, he must be good at doing these talks. He's done so many.
Yeah.
They didn't, they wouldn't realise it's the same bloody talk over.
Did they start commissioning you? I want you to do the talk you did at X.
Yeah,
Can you come over and do that?
I have played that game before. But the truth is, they all come out different because I start rambling and it goes somewhere else.
But they were lovely They in themselves are lovely posters.
Well,
They're beautiful.
after doing half a dozen, I thought, well, I'll invite the agency to do the poster. Give them a completely free hand. Do anything they like. I've always got a cup surrounded by some good photographers and stuff, so we can help on that front. So before you know it, agencies start winning awards with the posters they've done for my talk.
Do you know what, Dan? Are you thinking what I'm thinking about? We need someone to do a poster for our podcast. Can we talk to you afterwards, Mr. Denton?
Well, I tell you what, before we started, I said, I've got an idea for you. It's obvious you've got to do a poster campaign for every single one of the people you get on the podcast.
Yeah. Can you stay behind after? And we've got a pad and a pen.
Well, of course I can. I'll scribble it out while we're talking.
We got to stay on track.
Yeah,
Go for
I've got a question. Your very first Billboard campaign.
Very first poster I did was, I think it was either 1979 or 80, and it was for Cadbury's Milk Tray. And I was a visualiser at Leo Burnett. 78, I think I started at Leo Burnett. And I was a visualiser knocking out other people's roughs. And I just happened to be sharing the room with the bloke who invented the milk tray man, Norman Ike.
Wow.
And he said, look, they want a 48-sheet poster. You got any ideas? He's been kind to me because I was the visualiser. And I just did this scribble of the milk tray man hanging between two skyscrapers, shot from above Manhattan.
Nice.
Anyway, I went through. So I end up, and Norman, week in New York, staying at the Algonquin Hotel. I remember what the budget was.
Those were the days.
It was $16,000 to shoot this. Yeah, but John Thornton shot it. We're dining at the Waldorf. It's bloody great.
I bet you...
Helicopter shot?
No. They got a pole.
Right.
J.C. Penney building, I think it was. Got a pole. Stuck it out over the edge of the skyscraper.
Mark visually just showed. What were you doing then?
It looks like I don't know. It looks like I'm stoking a fire or something. But yeah.
Sorry, you couldn't see that.
So I keep forgetting I'm not on telly. Yeah. And then we shot the milk tray man on a rope in a studio.
And it just said all because
the lady loves milk tray.
I nearly said it like a voiceover then. All because the lady loves milk tray. Great.
And that was the first one.
Did he have a polo neck on like I'm wearing today?
He looked very similar to you, only without the glasses.
Yeah, like someone from the 1970s. Thanks, Mark.
So that was the first one, and the second one I managed to get out there. Again, I couldn't even say I was an art director there. They threw me a few crumbs every now and then. I was a visualiser, but I did this thing again. Generally, when it was a panic on, they were trying to do a new campaign for Perrier.
Right.
And I did I've forgotten what the line is now, an Australian bloke, like they have corks hanging from the brim of their hat.
Yeah.
He had little Perrier bottle tops.
Oh, yes. Nice. I've seen that.
Yeah.
And was it always your ambition to be a creative, or did you just kind of stumble into it and go, I'm quite good at visualising, and thinking, hold on, I want to be over there. Right.
I did a graphic design course, but it was the Ravensbourne School of Vocational Studies, so it was all about the practical side. I couldn't, it wasn't a degree course at all. So no. I did like paste up and architectural drawing and mechanical things like that. So I was like a paste-up artist, start off with, then a visualiser.
Because you can draw very well.
Well, I can do sort of Beano-like
That's enough.
drawings. Gets the idea across.
Yeah.
And he got me a job at the Open Air, and that started it off, really.
And then BBH, because I know you hadn't met Chris Palmer at this point. You're on your own.
Didn't know him really.
Ducking in and out.
Yeah.
And then you would... Sorry, because I've done a bit of research, a.k.a. reading Dave Dye's blog. But you were doing a Cadbury's cream egg shoot and you bump into Chris Palmer.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah. Again, that was me taking a liberty, really, because as a visualiser, it was my job to draw up all the storyboards. So I'm drawing about half a dozen Cadbury's cream egg storyboards that were just about going to research. I write one of my own and do my own one, slip it in there. The account men see it, or the account people see it, I should say. The account people see it. Before you know it, it's gone into research alongside my bosses.
Right.
Got made.
Right.
So that's my first proper commercial that got made. Bosses were furious. Furious. I wasn't meant to make that. No. Anyway, I'm on this beat pre-CG. I've written it. It was a sedan chair. I'm not very good at history. 16th century, I don't know. Anyway, this street scene, sedan chair. One pulls up at the traffic lights. There's red, yellow, and green candles there. Traffic lights. Red light. Sedan chair pulls up. One pulls up next to it. It's got turbo sticker on the side. Furry dice. Anyway, they're eyeing each other up. It's Charlie Drake. Ask your mum and dad about Charlie Drake, famous comedian from the 1960s. Lights change. Charlie Drake hits the turbo button. This little hatch opens up on the top of the sedan chair. These arms come out, dangled cream eggs in front of the bearers, and it takes off like a very fast thing. But of course, there weren't no CG or anything, so they had to build this 15th, 16th, 17th century street scene on this bloody great big stage at Pinewood or Shepperton, I can't remember where. Anyway, while I was shooting it, he didn't know it was the first commercial I'd ever done, Chris Palmer. He'd been at BBH for 6 months. He was on the next stage doing a little pack shot thing for St Ivel Shape. Right. He wanders on, starts chatting to me. I like a chat.
Yeah. No.
And before you know it, he's saying, and he was bloody impressed because it was an impressive set. And he said, "Here, look, he managed to wangle a job at BBH because he was a dispatch rider. He's only been doing it 6 months.
Classic story, isn't it?
And he got a job with Sir John Hegarty, and while Barbara Noakes was on her maternity leave. He'd gone in there with a portfolio. Right. After he bumped into Rosie Arnold in reception. Right. Delivering a package because he was a dispatch rider. Brilliant. Anyway, after bumping into her, a week later, he was working with John Hegarty. I said, "Wow, didn't it frighten you working with John Hegarty?" He said, "No, I'd never heard of him." Anyway, 6 months later, he starts talking to me, wanders in off my set, and he gets me in over at BBH when Barbara came back.
And did he have you go straight into John with your book then?
Well, he did, and to be honest, John turned it down. He didn't want to take me on, and it's only Chris saying, and I've been offered this because I was quite good if I am allowed to be.
You can say that.
Immodest.
We know that.
And so, book full of roughs mainly, plus this finished Cream Eggs film. Yeah. Which might have been the clincher, and loads of storyboards. So people didn't have portfolios full of storyboards. I didn't know that, but I had tons of storyboards that I'd done for myself.
You had your Perrier and your milk tray from...
I did, but, John saw... I remember going for the interview, and John said, I thought, oh, yeah, we're coming up to the one proof that I've got, which is Perrier. It's the one printed proof I had. I didn't show the milk tray because I knew it wasn't a world beater. But the Perrier, that's going to be a clincher. Anyway... turns the leaf over and he said, "I hate that." I thought, me one printed piece of work, and he hates it. So anyway, he didn't want to take me on, and I've been offered a job at Butler, Dennis and Garland, which was even then, no one's heard of it now, but no one had heard of it then really. And I told Chris, "Look, they've offered me this job at Butler, Dennis and Garland, pay rise, 20 grand a year." Fantastic. Brilliant. I was only on 50, and the 17.5 grand, 20 grand a year. And Chris went back to John, said, "Look, I want to work with Mark. I've, if you don't want to take him on, I'm going to Butler, Dennis and Garner with Mark. He hadn't been offered the job.
No.
So
Brilliant.
I owe everything to Chris, really, on that front. Hats off to John. He rated Chris so much that he took me on, and I learned how to art direct there. And, I pedalled really hard because I thought, I'm not, I wasn't the first choice, so he kept me on my toes a little bit.
Yeah. But that's
I haven't relaxed since, really. I'm still on edge.
But it's, I suppose, because you maybe been a slightly late starter, you kind of had that energy to go, right, I'm going to go for it now.
Yeah, I was 28 when I got a job at
BB.
So
there you go.
It's a funny thing. I only thought about it the other day. I was only an art director for 10 years, including being a creative director.
Wow.
I've been doing it 45 years next year. 10 years only.
That's amazing, though, to say to people, people are interested in getting in the industry now. They're like so worried, like, I'm 19, I'm 20, am I in, I only got in when I was 24 or 5, 28. And then you went on and had your own agency and all this stuff,
Well, so that was only 4.5 years later.
This is a brilliant seg, because we're now going to go, you're going to jump around a little bit, but we've got to talk about, we've got to keep back on the billboards we want to talk about, because there are so many. But I think the one big campaign we want to talk about is Nike.
Yeah.
So this is an incredible body of work which you wrote and presided over during the period of Simons Palmer, Denton, Clemo and Johnson, to give it its full title. There's just so much stuff here we want to talk about. We've got it in front of us. The way into it, I wanted to ask you was, I'd read that Nike had come to you and said, can you do us a football press ad?
Yeah.
Is that true? And then you somehow made this incredible body of work. How does that happen?
We won the account, and it was only to do the soccer they call it soccer. The soccer press ads.
Right.
Specialist press ads, soccer, maybe the occasional rugby ad, because they didn't understand soccer, and that was it. All of the TV, all the posters, they were all meant to be generated out of the US.
So at this point, were you their London agency?
Yeah.
Right.
But only to do the soccer specialist
So can you
press.
remember what did you start with? Was it any of the ones we're looking at here, or was it...
Well, do you know, it's a bloody long time ago. I think it was the... see, I'm looking at the typesetting. There was a definite... See, at one point, I thought, right, OK, we're going to set all of the headlines really bloody... We're going to manipulate the type a bit and set them all really close, because it was unfashionable to do that then. I remember that from the 70s, where all the type was so crunched up, it was touching. And so Michael Jordan won Isaac Newton Neal. You can see that was just before I made that decision.
Yes.
So that was probably the earliest one that put us. That's the first 48-sheet poster I think we did.
Yes.
And shortly after we did the Olympics.
That was a Tim Riley, wasn't it?
That's Tim Riley did that. Tim and Andy Mackay.
Andy Mackay, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're looking at a Michael Jordan one, Isaac Newton Neal, and the type is slightly spaced out.
Yeah, it's just conventionally set.
And you're right. And then everything else, it's crunched, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so that was a point you wanted to make that.
Yeah,
mark.
I wanted to put our stamp on it, if you like, because if you look at the American stuff, they would have set the headline like the Michael Jordan ad.
Did you go over there and meet them?
Yeah, we did. We went to Wyden Kennedy in Portland, got on with them really well.
And did you have to do some kind of indoctrination of this is how it's done, mate, or no, we're going to do it?
No, they showed it. We had a lot of respect for the stuff they were doing. I thought it was bloody brilliant.
Yeah,
so they set the bar really bloody high. But we wanted to be famous.
So they hadn't done any Nike advertising in Britain much before that.
Not a lot. When we got the account, we were calling it Nike because we didn't know, and it was the number. I think Reebok was the number one brand.
Yeah.
Nike, as we called it, was the number two brand. We only found out about that. I wasn't really a sportswear. My sporting days were over, despite being the North West Kent Hurdles champ. I got to chuck that in there.
You said that.
And my sporting days were over. I was more formal suits and handmade shoes, and so I didn't know much about plimp soles and sneakers and things. We're creatives. You get a job, you find out about the product, and going over to Portland was part of that.
Tim talked to us about the basketball thing, because there's a pre-internet. Obviously go straight on and find out all about basketball. Little known sport in this country back then, And it was Sports Illustrated magazine and research for Michael Jordan. Yeah, who's this amazing...
I listened to that podcast this morning. I thought it was good. Yeah, and especially because he's coming from his perspective.
Yeah,
because obviously I was there. What he didn't mention was we had a big debate before that went out. Should it be Michael Jordan 2, Isaac Newton nil? So that's
quite good.
There was a few hours wasted chatting about that.
Oh, hold on, I've just got it.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm so not a
Well,
basketball
that's it. I wasn't a basketball fan either. None of us were.
How long did that debate go on for? That's brilliant.
Well, it was an important debate, really, wasn't it?
Because then people go, why is it... Okay, God, I'm actually now getting sucked into it myself.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, so we're looking at a huge array of Nike billboards. Could you pick out ones which you feel had a great story behind, ones which was the first one you were proud of the most? There's behind every great goalkeeper, there's a ball from in, right?
I like that because I art directed it.
There we go.
Yeah, Mark Goodwin wrote the line.
It's a belter.
And can't help like the ones you did yourself.
I guess, like you say, that the fact that they'd come to you guys in the UK and soccer and rugby were the things they really wanted to push in this country, and they had to go to a local agency to do that. I think that's a...
But getting our hands on the Olympics at that time as well was a big deal.
Right.
And was that what came first out of these ones? I think before the Olympics.
I think
that in a minute.
I think only the Michael Jordan one, then the Olympics, and then the rest.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So all the Sampras, Khan, it's a 4-letter word.
All later.
Okay.
Yeah, all later.
All right.
And you can see the longer it went on, the more I squashed the type up.
Yeah.
And the more, and I wanted, Tim Riley said, we were a small agency and we didn't have a lot of opportunities. So I just again, if it was all the same look on every single poster, I would have got fed up. So I encouraged everyone who worked on it to make them look like a Nike ad, but different. So if you look at every single one, there are similarities, and they all look like a Nike campaign that hang together, but they're all a little bit different.
Yeah,
they're art directed.
It's incredible. I was just thinking this last night, looking at all going. You've somehow done this thing that they're full of attitude. They look fucking amazing, but they're beautifully colourful. So they have a stamp on them. They're so graphic, but some of them there's just a massive word, one word with a little, some there's no words. But they somehow hang together as this lovely, kind of effortless. They're good enough to put on the wall.
That's a lovely thing to say.
They really are. I think that, weirdly, I saw Malcolm Venville the other day for lunch, and we were chatting about this one. Want the ball, go buy one. And Charles Barkley is holding a ball with his middle finger.
Yeah.
So
he shot the middle finger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but things like that. Someone might just say, "Oh, it's just a picture of Charles with the ball." That would be what you'd tell the advertising authorities, but really he's holding his middle finger up, isn't he? They all had something about them, didn't they?
At that particular time that was even edgier than it is now. Although it's so bloody safe now.
Well, you wouldn't be allowed to do that.
No, it's so safe. No one wants, and I suppose you look at there is a bit of wit in some of them.
Oh, I think they all have
a bit of wit in them, but again, funny ain't popular now, is it? Everyone's bloody shit scared of being funny.
I think some of them the wit was in the line, like behind every great goalie. But then there's this one, Malcolm was telling me about this, there's a shot of this rugby player. What's his name?
Martin Afire.
And he's running so fast, it's a speed camera. But he was telling me you couldn't, the camera wouldn't be activated unless something very fast went through it. Yeah. So again, that's your point of attitude there. Never been done before.
Yeah, photo finish camera.
Amazing.
And...
So of these, was there any one which was very hard to get through or to put together?
No, because I could crow about how bloody good I am and how good the department is or was. We had the best salesman in town, Cole Johnson. He sold everything. In fact, it wasn't Cole Johnson working on Nike, even though Cole sold everything. It was Mike Perry was the account man on it, and we had such a good relationship with the client that it's.
Really?
Almost every pen mark we put on a bit of paper got sold. So if we were good, it was because we were supported by...
And when you showed it, I'm fascinated. How far had you gone down? Because they're brilliantly art directed, but there's so much thought and craft and passion. When you showed the work to the client, was it a scamp? Or would you have done, the whole kind of photo fit of these men are dangerous, do not attempt to tackle them?
It would have been a scamp, And we didn't mock it up much at all. So behind every great goalkeeper, there's a ball from Ian Wright. That was sold as a marker headline with a picture of Ian Wright. It was only later, and then, again, thinking about it, I was so bloody spoilt and I didn't realise at the time. Effectively, that gets sold. Then I do my bit on it, and then we just shot the Kick It commercial with Tony Kaye.
Right.
And in there, I don't know if there's a super slow motion ball hitting the back of the net with a big sound effect. And so it's really nice graphic thing, it looks black and white. It's got black background, ball hitting the back of the net. And I just lifted that.
Oh, is that where it came from?
Yeah, I just lifted that and used that as the texture and like a giant full stop, if you like, to the poster.
That's brilliant.
And I just thought, and given we use red a lot, I just put a red tint on it. And I thought it'd be better than just doing a picture of Ian Wright and an headline.
Can I say this is particularly painful for Dan because he's a Spurs fan? I just want to sort of add that because I can feel, we should stop talking about Arsenal so much.
Yeah, but we didn't have any great keepers back then, so
you're all right now.
But as far as the art direction goes, once it'd been signed off as a pretty non-specific rough, I can't, whoever was doing the art direction, once it got signed off by me and Chris, it got printed, and there was never nothing was turned down because the art direction wasn't liked. I want to crunch the type up and distort it. Yeah, all right.
And did it have to go, so you go and present it, these guys in the UK, did they then have to go and get the US to sign them off?
No.
So that was...
We had a client, I think his name was Johnny Trainer. And what he liked was he was a British client.
Who made that up?
No, that's
Johnny
that was his
Sneaker.
name. I'm pretty sure that was his name. And
I think that might have been his nickname, surely.
Yeah.
No, really.
Johnny Trainer could not work
Get
for
Trainer
Nike.
on it. He's in the UK. Sneaker in America, Trainer in the UK.
He wanted to make his own mark over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he really loved us doing stuff that was different from the American stuff.
We had Rosie in last week. She said that the Sampras one was one of her favourite billboards.
Oh,
of the
that's
time.
great. That was Tiger and Paul. Did that.
Yeah.
Bless him. Bless Paul.
And right, okay, that was the only time we had to do something extra. The client insisted that it says Advantage Sampras on the side because a few people didn't recognise it was him, and so that is the only time we got any kind of kickback against our recommendation.
Paul told me when he got the BBH, he said, "That's the one bit, the blight on it." And I kept saying, "Mate, it's just epic. Don't worry." But when you get something.
Yeah.
You talked about some of the simplicity of a graphic execution and the no U-turns marathon piece is exactly that. That's for me it stands out as the typography and the lines are super smart and all the rest of it, but that is just.
No, I'm glad you like that. Like I said, there was
really
Tiger
simple.
and Paul, but. I remember the original thing that they showed us was just a U-turn sign, which is great, and it worked a bloody. There's no doubt about it. That still would have worked a treat. But I was referring to my collection of propaganda books when we were putting this together. And in fact, Want the Ball Go Buy one that's based on an Eisenhower election poster.
Really?
And I had this whole bit of Nazi propaganda, which had a load of troops, all with a tint on it, with a Nazi badge superimposed over the top of it with a drop shadow. And I said,
wow.
No U-turn sign is great, but how about doing it like that? And so that's why I ended up with the marathon runners with the blue tint.
Do you know what? When I woke up this morning, I didn't think we'd be talking about Nazis.
No one would know that.
But they
were very bad, by the way. I like to point that out.
It's just an amazing graphic. It's just so quick, isn't it?
And that is, we've talked about it before, but that is the simplicity of outdoor billboards and posters. There's you can get it in a second. For me that's.
I suppose also all of them. I don't know if it was you telling me or someone else that you're working with your own materials. There wasn't huge budgets to shoot stuff. No. There's a lot about let's see how we can make this work brilliantly. I think Tim was telling us a bit about that. You had to put it all together.
Well, like on the Jordan poster, he's right. we were sent this really crap little transparency.
That's
black,
right.
In fact, it might have even been a black and white print.
I think that's what it was.
So and I don't know whether they just had the ump with us over in the US. So they think, oh look, we'll give them a challenge here. You've got to do an Agassi poster. So we give them an out of focus transparency. Stuck in an envelope. Sent. That's it. It arrived in just normal envelope.
Yeah.
And it was out of focus. Oh. So what we did is we reprint on. You haven't got the Agassi poster in front of you.
Go on.
We reprinted it on a little bit of paper, and then we reshot it through a Quality Street wrapper.
Right.
So it really distorted it and made it look almost psychedelic.
That's brilliant. What was the line? Oh, was it?
It was something like
Make War Not Love or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, those.
Make War Not Love.
Make War Not Love.
That was it. Done like a psychedelic.
Oh my God!
So we had
brilliant.
to like the Charles Barkley thing. It was a crap black and white print that we got. So I thought, right, okay, let's do a really heavy retouch on it. It was soft, made it hard again. Malcolm shot the ball on the middle finger. We comped them together, and I put this bloody great big half-tone dot on it to smudge it together.
Right.
So it was playing tricks. It was almost like a really great challenge.
Yeah.
So they're having a laugh at that end and sending us these shy images, and we're trying to be arty this end to disguise the fact.
So in a way, because of your experience, you could art direct your way out of anything because you have so many tricks. You have so many crafts you can pull on. You know, I love the way that you've. Some people go,
nice to say that.
fucking hell, what are we going to do? We just won't be able to do
There's
it.
the challenge, isn't it? That's the challenge.
It's amazing.
What tools have I got at my disposal?
Hey, look, here's a tip for everyone. Any art director who ain't got a budget, if you ain't got a budget, just make it out of cardboard. It looks like art.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Costumes, sets, works a bloody treat.
Okay. Right, we got one more thing on Nike I want to talk about before we move on. So I remember Paul Shearer telling me about this campaign whereby, I don't know if Paul had written them or he was there at the time, but it's for the Olympics in 1990, and Nike had chosen these 3 amazing athletes, and you had done these brilliant lines for them, and you kind of go, what could go wrong? Could you just tell us briefly the story behind what happened?
Well, look, we had 3, I can't remember their names. Here we got a pole vault. Spanish air traffic control has been notified. Oh, good poster, bold.
Was that Bubka?
Yeah. You know more than I do.
Yeah, I think
What's
it was.
that done?
Sergei Bubka.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to test you now. Right, we've got a runner. Ever heard the Algerian national anthem? You will.
Oh, what's his name?
It's going to be a very, very good marathon runner.
And we got, this is a famous athlete, and I've forgotten his name.
Michael Johnson.
Actually, there's a clue in the headline there. You've just passed Michael Johnson more than most athletes will do this summer. Sorry, I haven't got my glasses on, so I couldn't remember it. Anyway, they're our 48 sheet poster campaign, and 96 sheet posters as well. They're all lost.
All lost, didn't they?
All of them lost. So
none of them won a thing, is that right?
Nah. So the newspapers, national newspapers, grabbed hold of that, especially the tabloids, really ripped into our campaign, and we came back with a press ad. It's, failure is great. It's always great. Making a cock-up is great because it gives you a platform to come back.
Can I just fill in the gaps a little bit?
Yeah, please
so
do.
These ads run, I'll just repeat, sorry. These guys didn't win a squidge, did they? Then the papers picked up on it. But then you said, or Nike or someone said, right, let's make a success out of failure. So the headline reads, if you're going to put your foot in it, put it in a pair of Nikes. And then the ad shows all the clippings. Yeah. And in a way, it's brilliant, isn't it? Because you just turned it around and you owned it. And it's just a really brilliant story.
Like I say, a cock-up is always a great opportunity.
It's Morcelli is the Algerian runner.
Oh, thank you.
All right, okay. If you tortured me, I wouldn't know that.
Last question on Nike, I promise. I read you had a place in Simons Palmer called The Wall, where you'd put all the work, and it would be like, it'd be tested by everyone. Did you have any stuff, I'm going to ask you this again at the end, but were there any Nike ads, billboards particularly, which never got through, which you went, I wish that had run?
No, we did all the good ones that I can remember. I can't remember any poster.
That's the end of that bit.
And it wasn't just Nike on the wall. We put everything. Right. Every team who had a brief would be expected to crack it, and they would get their arse kicked if they didn't crack it.
Right.
But any other team was allowed nick the brief. So as soon as the team came up with a good concept, it went on the wall outside. And even if the cleaner had walked in and said, "Here, I've got a better concept,"
Right.
we'd use the cleaner's concept.
Even if they bike courier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are good, apparently, those couriers.
Yeah.
Can we move on to Wrangler? Because I've heard a rumour that the ads were written even before you had the client. Is that
No,
true?
not before we had the client. We had the client. The client came to us. You know, we were piss poor at new business early on. We were real rubbish. So we're looking for opportunities on everything. And Levi's had done laundrette, and they'd done 3 or 4 years of really cracking TV commercials. Wrangler came to us and said, "Look, Pepe were the number 2 brand. Wrangler were a very poor number 3, and said, look, we got to try and claw back a little bit of the market. Will you do us a commercial to rival the ones that Levi's are doing?" I didn't want to, and some style press stuff where you saw people wearing the jeans. Now, we did a bit of research because we were past the target audience. I was only 31, I think, when we got it. And what happened was that all the youngsters, 15 to 25 or whatever it was, they said, you mustn't show that W. We hate that bloody W on the back of the jeans. They researched the product.
Right.
It was almost like, to a man, they all hated the W on the back pocket.
Right.
So we based our TV commercial around the W. Chris wrote a lovely, like you do, wrote a lovely line that said, "Be more than just a number," which obviously having a little dig at 501.
Yes, yeah. So the Levi's were called 501s, and which everyone
right.
thought were the coolest jeans at the time.
And I thought, well, wouldn't it be good to do a fly sheet poster campaign? They ain't got a budget for it. They haven't asked us for it. But why don't we just do these bloody great big W's, colourful W's, put them around town? You know, all the fly sheet posters were advertising gigs and albums and things like that. So they're right for the target audience. The client turned them down. Oh. I did me roughs.
Right.
Client turned them down. Don't want them. Just do the commercial.
Right.
I colour them in, colour me roughs in. I go back to the second meeting. I say, here they are.
Right.
That'd be good. He said, look, I've told you twice. I don't want them. Just get on with the telly. Malcolm comes in, shows us his portfolio. I think, oh, this is good. Here, Malcolm, do you want to shoot these roughs? He shoots a couple of them. We go back to the client, and we did an in-house painting competition. So Andy Mackay painted the dog because we didn't have a budget.
I wondered where that dog was from.
Andy Mackay painted it. We didn't have a budget, couldn't afford illustrators or anything.
You could make a toy out of that now.
Yeah, you got
tell Andy to be a millionaire.
And anyway, the client said, "Oh, I didn't know they were going to be that good."
Oh.
Wow.
So there's a lesson.
We used to do it at a time. We shot 2 BT commercials before we had the account.
Can you
and won 10 million quid's worth of BT?
Just describe those posters just briefly for us, 1 or 2 of them, because I think.
Well, we got what looks like a superhero, only he's not Captain America. He's got a bloody great big W on his forehead and not an A, and it happens to be this smiling, cool-looking black geezer with this shiny satin red and yellow outfit.
So that was just a generic. You just made that up.
Yeah, well, I remember the original rough actually that I showed the client, and it was the classic Superman pulling open his shirt
with the W on it. Great.
No, it was to reveal the Superman logo, but it happened to be. I replaced it with a W.
Brilliant.
But as we were going through the process, I thought, actually, let's make it our own superhero.
Yeah.
Who's not Superman?
Who was the illustrator of that? 'Cause it's brilliant.
In what? No, Malcolm shot that.
Oh, he shot
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
I mean, it looks like an illustration, doesn't it? But
wow.
we
Sorry,
had that.
Malcolm.
No, we got a hat maker to make the cowl, but it's so contrasty and colourful that I can see why you said illustration.
I thought it was. It's absolutely amazing.
And Malk did the one with the bloke with it carved in the back of his hair.
And is that for real? Or was that post? Was that
no, that's for real, and that was based on a famous photographer, very famous photographers, who's Man Ray. It was a Man Ray image, I think.
Nice.
And we put a W on there instead. See, the second year they gave us a budget. They liked them so much.
Right.
See, that's the thing. They'd never ran them as fly sheets. They booked 4 and 6 sheet poster sites. They ran them in store. They ran them in the style press, and they made T-shirts out of them and sold them. So they did really well. And the second year they gave us a budget.
Right.
And because we used to have, I think they call them interns now.
Yeah.
But we used to have what we used to call slaves. People came in from colleges, and we put them in a room and say, we'll pay for your sandwiches.
Right.
Give us some ideas, and generally you wouldn't get anything. Anyway, this young bloke called Ben Priest turned up one day, and he did a Wrangler concept. Every account was open to anyone, even an intern. And so he did a Wrangler poster. Happened to be a bloke in a pair of Y fronts, but it was W fronts.
Nice.
And so he was only with us a week, young bloke, and his first ad he ever got produced, D&AD annual.
Brilliant.
So that was useful.
And it's brilliantly shot. Is that Malcolm again?
That's Malcolm, yeah.
Yep.
So after we met Malc, and I've got to say this is really bloody important, because a lot of people have forgotten about this formula. See, I didn't know Malc. He just turned up on my doorstep with a little bit of persuasion, not much. He shoots the Wrangler campaign for us.
Right.
So after that, you got to pay him back. So when we got a budget for the next lot of Wranglers, he shot them all.
Yeah.
And when we got the Nike account, which was later, he shot all the Nike ads.
Okay.
So you've got to pay people back. People don't do that nowadays.
Yeah.
They just forget. They move on to the next person to do a favour.
So the rumours were half true. So the ads weren't written before having the client. They were produced before the client had said yes.
Yeah,
which is
they were
fantastic.
turned down twice.
Don't take no for an answer.
Yeah, I think
proactive.
you kind of. I love that. I love that sort of proactive attitude and not being difficult, but going, look, just let me do them. I think that spirit, people. That's a really good quality, isn't it, to make?
Well, you've got to back your own judgment as well. I thought they were good, and I thought, you don't know they're going to be good yet. And it takes a bit of a leap to go from a drawn scamp to a finished piece of work. But the danger of having a finished looking visual now, because you have to use stock shots, the client will say, let's not get a photographer to do an original piece of photography, let's just use that stock shot.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be as good as a original illustration or photograph.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. Brilliant.
Shall we move on to Asda? BB-8.
Well, I like the way we're doing weird timeline. We've done two big ones.
We're jumping back, aren't we?
We've got about 10 minutes left.
Okay, I can talk
What
fast.
would you like to do?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do a bit of fast talking. I like...
We've got Heineken, we got Asda. What do you think we should talk about?
I have done tons and tons of posters. You've seen a fraction of them. And
we will put them all on the description so people can have a look at the rest of them.
And these, these
them.
are the shortlist.
Yeah.
Simon's Palmer. Right, okay. Simon's Palmer, early on, I know you talked about Asda, which is BBH, but it kind of leads on from this.
Yeah.
It was the Asda campaign was a 48-sheet poster campaign, got an opportunity on that. I like cartoons as well, so it was a product ad, just selling free-range eggs. So I thought, right, Asda free-range eggs laid by free-range hens. Now, Chris would have written that line, but the idea of a chicken on a motorbike jumping over a barbed wire fence, like The Great Escape, tickled me. So I scribbled that up, and before you know it, we got a campaign of funny live action insofar as they were photographed images, but we made these models. So we made the models of the chicken. It's pre-CG.
And do you remember where the models came from?
Well, again, we found a model maker.
What was the name? Can you remember?
I remember what we took. We said, "Here, you want to change your name?" And said, "What to?" I said, "Sexy Models," and they didn't like it. But they're no longer in business. It was a bloody long time ago.
Right.
There's a kind of Aardman-esque model.
Funny you should say that, because if you've seen Chicken Run, if you take a shot from Chicken Run, he's got the chicken on the little tricycle jumping over a barbed wire fence with a moody, cloudy sky. If you put them side by side, they're almost identical.
The model maker has to have gone to Aardman, surely.
It just so happens that the poster was out 10 years before the film.
Just saying, we're just putting it out there now.
I would love to think that poster influenced Chicken Run.
Right, come on, listeners. Come on, listeners. Find us the model maker.
But also, can I just say, I think that's very you, this look and feel, and I just love the way the model making, the vibe, and the humour. It's it's like your own brand in a certain way.
Well, you know, it's often been said that I'm a one-trick pony. I've said it, but I think it's a very, very good trick.
I think.
So we went to Low Spink shortly afterwards, and then when we got our hands on the Heineken campaign, and we drew up 70, that was open to everyone, we drew up 70 executions to get ours through.
70, 70.
Yeah, and Chris was he's a bloody good illustrator as well, so
Yeah.
we're both drawing them, colouring them in, and we had a stack of 70 fully drawn up.
But you know, as a outside view, you can see the humour that you've taken through the various campaigns. There is a unique humour to these things, and a humorous narrative that runs through all of these poster campaigns.
I like funny stuff. I know it's not popular now because it's too scary, isn't it? Funny, but our biggest winner was Shakin' Stevens. So
Right.
Shakin' Stevens out of focus. Shakin' Stevens out of focus, drinking a pint of Heineken. Shakin' Stevens in focus.
Yeah.
Didn't think about the DTs. And I didn't know that he had some.
Oh God, no!
He had
Seriously.
some drink problem.
You'd have never got that through.
I didn't know that. But it just makes it better for me.
And
knowing that
I love
afterwards.
all of it. You've thought about it all, like the typography.
Shaking about
Brilliant.
until you get to the last
It's
frame.
brilliant.
But I think if you're going to do something like that, to make it as funny as possible. But we, you know, like there's a hedgehog crossing the road, and then he's got we printed out with day glow ink actually a high vis jacket on after he's drunk the Heineken. That was a model maker again. So I really love the idea of getting model makers involved. And I did that at Simon's Palmer when we had tiny little accounts who came to us for trade ads. So we had luncheon vouchers, came to us for a trade ad, and we put them on 48 sheet posters.
Really?
And one of the models in that was made by this, what is now a famous artist, Ron Muick made that.
Oh, Ron Muick.
The
That
Skinny Pig.
yeah. And Ron's me PlayStation
So
buddy
Ron
now.
Muick, who did the little dad and all of that. stuff?
Yeah.
That's him. He did
Famous
that.
artist
Oh.
did that. That's where I met him, and he's done loads of stuff for me since. And we had luncheon vouchers, and we had the National Railway Museum. We put them on 48 sheet posters. But we also had Slumber Down Duvets. They wanted a trade campaign to talk to the buyers at what do you call it? Department stores.
Yeah, yeah.
We put them on 48 sheet posters with these model made 48 sheet. Like, one of them was a brass monkey with a very warm
Oh, yes.
duvet, and he's with a big smile on his face. He's lifting the duvet up and looking at his cobblers that are still intact.
Very good.
So,
So you clearly are a kind of, you know, a flag bearer for posters. So it's always been inside of you. You know what I mean? Because some creatives are just naturally drawn to certain media, and it feels like you are. This is the one you'll feel incredibly happy in.
It's all ideas, and it's all, you know, I've listened to some of the other podcasts. They say the same. I'd say it's all about the most simple distilled idea. But I find if you've got a really good, simple, visually led 48 sheet poster, it makes a good 30-second script as well.
Yeah.
Because we're going full circle and it's near the end. The first commercial that I got away, which was the cream eggs one, started off as a poster.
Did it? Oh,
So-
just dangling.
Yeah. So what it was it was a donkey.
Yeah.
It was a bloke giving a donkey a piggyback, and the donkey's holding a pole with a cream egg dangling on the end.
Brilliant.
And so I just took that concept and turned it into
But
the sedan
the
chair.
Heineken ads, I mean, all of them. You know, the King Kong has got a very small lady in his hand, and then he has the drink, and she becomes the same size as him. I mean, I'm laughing as I'm saying it, but it is funny. And then, what's his name? Duncan Goodhue, who's got no hair. He has a drink, and then a real live he's on his head. They're just little, like you say, they're little spots as well, aren't they? They could probably do them in tens.
Well, yeah, you could. Well, again, dramatising. There's one with it's like the Bayeux tapestry with an arrow heading towards Howard's eye. You could do that as a great bit of animation over 30 seconds.
Yeah, it'd be an
then he
Instagram ad now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and he drinks
Yeah,
a
very
Heineken, and then the arrow suddenly got a rubber sucker on the end. You know,
Very funny. Very funny.
Yep, very, very good.
We're coming towards the end. I honestly feel like we should do two parts because there's so much to go at. But we always at this point ask. Rosie Arnold actually drew one last time she was on. So is there any ads you've done, billboards, that didn't happen that you're like, oh, if only I'd got that away? I imagine there's a stack still in Denton Towers.
No.
No?
See, the thing is, this is my
Well, then your book.
this is my superpower. You see,
Yeah.
and it's really bloody easy. Anyone could have it. Just read the book. It's
All right,
it's
okay.
all in there.
All
But
right.
no, it's a superpower. It's a superpower. I'm going to give you a little hint. Don't leave it on a bit of paper. Just make it.
Right.
Because I just make everything. So all the stuff. See, as a visualizer. This is a quick one because I know we're coming towards the end. As a visualizer, I was given this little black and white press head to draw up for Samsung batteries, guaranteed to last longer than your car. It had a lifetime guarantee as long as you had the car. It was a picture of a battery with that headline. I drew that up. I drew my own poster up as well, which was a stack of wrecked cars in a scrapyard with a car at the top with the light still on.
Right.
With that headline.
Right, you did it.
Did that. Well, I did that again. This was a real good indication that a good poster makes a good advert. Shot that as a 60-second commercial. Because a producer came in and said, "Here, you want a pilot for your new director?" "Oh yeah, what you got?" I said, "Well, I've got this thing here." And we ended up shooting it as a 60-second commercial.
That's amazing.
And became 3 different commercials. One at Cannes, one at New York festivals, all the rest of it. And that was a poster concept that I didn't get through.
Brilliant.
So I've almost made every scribble that I've ever put down.
That's
on a bit
very
of
apparent.
paper.
You're a doer. You're a great thinker, but you're also a
It's
doer.
bloody easy because we're surrounded by other people can do it for us. So you've got a good idea. There's photographers that will be lining up to realise your good idea. Because what a lot of creatives forget is what we do is quite clever, and not everyone can do it. So it's very easy to find illustrators, photographers, retouchers, any number of people, exhibition designers.
Yeah.
Most of what I've put out into the world, I've done with lots of lovely creative volunteers.
Yeah.
Anyway, you don't have to read my book now. It's all in there.
No, I'm sure there's
No,
more.
you've got to read the book. You have to read the book. So I think kind of final-ish question, that may be a tips question, but that's what I think you're right. It's all in the book. Your favourite billboard of all time?
Beans,
tell me
Beans,
what-
Hines.
Beans,
Easy.
Beans, Hines.
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought the book in this morning, didn't you, Mark? The 100 best posters of the century. And that
Yeah,
was,
and it could have, it could have been go to work on an egg, and it could have been unzip a banana,
Yeah.
or it could have been drink a pint of milk a day. But I like Beans, Means, Hines, and it was more than one poster in the end. And
Yeah.
everyone knows that slogan now.
Yeah.
Bring back the slogan. That's what I
Bring
say.
back the slogan.
Mate, thank you so much for coming in. And again, thank you for wearing the tracksuit.
No, that was easy because I've only got these now.
It's been a lovely,
It's been great.
lovely chat. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Have a lie down now.
Given that's the first time I met him, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
And he's super friendly. And anyway, he loves talking about the work, doesn't he?
Yeah, he is a joy. I knew you'd like him. He's a joy to be with, and he can talk, and he's just in love with the work.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
And you see, just so you all know, he obviously, I said during the recording that he'd given us a copy of his book, signed it and stuff, but he also gave us a copy of all of the posters that he's been designing recently, and with some of the people that work for him, he's designing them business cards, and he's getting people involved in photo shoots to publicise them as well. So, I mean, it's super creative stuff, and I love the fact that he's just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing.
It's sort of the living epitome of proactiveness and just doing stuff rather than talking. I mean, he's a real inspiration. He's a real example of how to get on and do stuff.
I mean, the Wrangler stuff itself, client says no, I don't care, carry on, I'm going to push it to the next level, right?
I think
Client says no again, well, I don't care, let's produce them anyway.
Talked about backing himself, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I think you just have that inherent sixth sense, something's good. You go, well, just let me have another go, I think, and then the next year they paid for the whole campaign. So.
Yeah. And paying it forward as well. You in this industry, we do rely on collaboration with partners, photographers, technical directors we've talked about before, people that you outsource special things to on shoots, directors, cameramen, anyone, and you rely on those relationships. And in fact, we talked about model makers before as well. You rely on them to help you win business, and when you do win that business, you have to pay.
Yeah, he's a very
Pay back your dues.
decent human being. I think that's it's like respect and paying people and re-involving them on projects rather than leaving them behind. So I think, that's another great quality of Mark's.
Yeah, I think in this in our fast-moving culture and agency world, it's always on to the next, whether it's the next technology or the next campaign or the next brief. We do have to remember to turn off our phones when we're recording a podcast.
John.
But we do have to remember the people that help get us there and the suppliers.
No, totally.
and crediting people on the right work and stuff is we must all remember to be kind to each other.
And I hope he's really kind when I buy one of those prints off his website. Anyway, Mark, thank you again.
Don't forget to follow us on social, on Instagram at Get Behind the Billboard, on Twitter at GetBTB, or on the website getbehindthebillboard.com.